But in your near environment and those that you interact with, what do you feel
Hmm.
that either boys or young men or even just grown men, what do you feel that like they are lacking the most to take that step and like how do you say be the best version of themselves? Like what's the first step that you find that they're lacking? There's no magic formula, just like what's the one thing that they all lack at the start?
And I'm going to call it confidence. It's an incredibly general term. It's not, it doesn't really do it justice, but this phrase probably will help. I often tell men, and I publicize this phrase, that you do not need their permission to be their father. You don't need their permission to lead your community. You don't need their permission to change the world. You also don't need their appreciation for it. Okay. So that's what's missing is guys understanding that you've got to do this, even though no one's asking you to, and even though no one is probably going to appreciate it until long after. Okay. So that's what it is. We'll call it a lack of confidence or maybe a lack of initiative, a lack of understanding of really what your job is, what your role is as a man. I'm going to go back to the football analogy. Being a man is an awful lot like being an offensive lineman. These are the big, strong guys up front that are doing the blocking and opening the holes and protecting the passer. And they don't get a lot of publicity. You're not going to see them on the big screen unless they make a mistake.
Yeah.
And essentially their jobs are to make everyone else's job easier. That's what your job is as a man. You got big, strong shoulders, a strong back, and it is your duty to do these things. And the only people that are ever going to pat you on the back for it are other men who recognize your strength and other men who respect you. And even that's going to be unusual because they're going to be so focused on their own pursuit, right? But so absent that, if you want appreciation and permission, you got to give it to yourself. So that's what's missing. Like I said, guys, you don't need their permission and you don't need their appreciation, but you do have to do it.
That sounds an awful lot like something that if you don't have the foundation to get that started, that's it can be
You'll never get it.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's a rough path to get there.
Right. And again, that's why, I see that lacking. And that was the impetus for reviving masculinity. Now it's just a book, and man, it can never replace having a great father. But at least it's an outline. At least you're starting to think in the right way, and maybe then you'll take it from there, right? But that's it. Yeah, you can't replace that good, solid role model in your life. Maybe it was a great uncle or a coach or something like that, or a combination. Usually, like for me, it was. I had a great dad, had great uncles, great coaches. All of them together created this vision of what a man is supposed to be, and that's what I've stepped into. But like you said, so many guys don't have that, so they're starting from a lower point than we are. Doesn't mean you can't get to where you need to be, though, right? You still can decide that that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, this is the more I think about it too, the more it makes sense because like a grown man should not be looking at someone else, asking their like seeking their approval and stuff like that. That's
Right.
what a boy does.
That's
And
exactly right. And then you're coming on to another thing here, a lack of a rite of passage. Okay. I spoke with a guy named Simon Smart several years ago about rites of passage. We don't have them. I mean, you get your driver's license, you turn 18. I mean, there are these certain sort of milestones, but you don't earn them. They just happen. Okay. And if you don't have older men choosing to start treating you like a man, then why in the world would you ever act like one? It's so attractive to continue to act like a boy and just feed your needs and do what you want and do things you like and make money for yourself and get with the wrong women and like all of that seems kind of fun and almost sexy. It's all over the internet, right? That's what guys are doing. Um, that's attractive. This other path, it really isn't. It doesn't really reward you until later on. It's much longer, like uh, your rewards for it are just farther down the road. So we have to, and this is a big thing. This is a big ask. I realize this, but around 12, 13, a boy's got to start to be treated differently, which is going to mean he better act differently and have different responsibilities and understand that he's no longer looking within. He's got to be focusing without. My job is to help people. First, you build your strength, right? As a man, first you build your power. First, you become as strong and as good as you can be. And then that's useless if you don't use it to help anybody. You got to give it away. You got to find ways to role model, ways to coach, ways to, and a good man like you, John, even you walking into a room, there are people in there looking at you going, I want to be like that guy. You know, little things like that, all of them, they matter. Without us, no one will know how to be us, right? So all of that has to happen, and it begins at home.
Yeah, it's such a fantastic point about why it's so important for fathers to build up their sons and make them confident, to praise them when the time is there to, as you say, that's when they start to feel like they can do this on their own, and